Welcome to this Thursday tutor session in the virtual summer school. Let me know if my sound is echoish. I think I'll turn down my loudspeaker a bit. I'm glad to be here. You've been enjoying my colleagues Barbara, Anais, Nanda, and Marisa for the previous days. I work with Nanda here in Sweden at the National Veterinary Institute. And like everyone else here, I was also very much involved in the Risksur project, where I was leading the work package on endemic diseases, looking at case finding capacity and prevalence estimation. My background is, I've been working with surveillance and disease control for many years, first for the industry, working with the eradication of bovine diarrhea virus, and then since 2007 I've been here at the National Veterinary Institute working mainly with zoonosis, surveillance for zoonosis, surveillance reporting, and also control of zoonosis. Yes, so I think that's about myself. Barbara, would you like to say anything more?
I already introduced myself on Tuesday, so I will keep it very short for those who haven't seen me yet. My name is Barbara. I'm a lecturer in agri-health at the Royal Vet College in London. I have been working in the economics of surveillance for many years now. My PhD was on the economic value of surveillance, and my main contribution to both the Risksur project and the Santero project was to look into how we can evaluate the value of surveillance.
Yes, and I guess that the objective of this today's session is to recap where we are, what you've been doing during the week, and what's expected for the deliverable, and also for tomorrow's presentation and summing up, and also an opportunity, of course, to raise any questions that you have regarding the homework. So this is, as I said, more or less a recap of what you've seen before during the previous tutor sessions about the expected deliverable. As you know, submitting the deliverable is the prerequisite to get a certificate of participation in this summer school, and after completion you should send it to Anais. It's actually today at 5:30. We have the deadline, and you should simply name it with your name and a running number after your name, so that we can keep track of which files belongs to whom. Yes, so the course of events during the week. For the first 2 days, Monday and Tuesday, you were introduced to Risksur tools, the design tool as well as the evaluation tool, and the rest of the week has been the opportunity to work on a practical case study of your choice. So yesterday, the purpose was to get you started on your evaluation case study, documenting your case study according to the worksheet provided. And today, as well as yesterday afternoon, our ambition was that you should be able to work on the case studies by yourself, and also raising any questions either via the forum. We've seen that there's been some activity on the forum, but of course also here today. So also, well, I guess this is more or less the last contact time that we have for the case studies. So do take notes of any question that you may have. And we'll try and respond to those this session. We also have some time this afternoon until 4 o'clock. We will respond to questions on the forum. This is also just running through the steps in the case study. As you have seen before, you have yourself to choose the hazard and the country, situation and surveillance context that you are familiar with, using the website tools that you've hopefully been able to log into at this stage and get going. You started by adding one component to your systems to your system using the design tool. At the higher level, simply target species, sector, geographical area, and data collection point, and save your surveillance system at that level. The next step was to go to the evaluation tool and to first complete the section where your evaluation context should be described. So this will help you start defining your evaluation case study. And the next step was then to move on to selecting the evaluation question, where you have two options in terms of identifying the evaluation question, where there is one option where you can get very specific guidance on how to make that definition. And thirdly, you were asked to work through the section on how to select evaluation methods by first selecting the evaluation attributes, and then the assessment methods and economic analysis techniques will follow upon that. Anything that you would like to say at this stage, Barbara?
I think I do not have anything to add. Thank you.
Good. So, and the third step then is to go to the section summary of the evaluation protocol and look again at your details, edit, revise anything if needed. And last but not least, you're asked to save your surveillance system description and your evaluation protocol as a PDF. So that would be 5 different PDF files. Plus the PDF version of the summary of the evaluation protocol web page. So this is the full deliverable. So it should consist of 6 PDF files. Optionally, if you want to do redesign rather than doing the evaluation path, you can simply generate a report from the design tool instead. So that would be comparing at least 2 surveillance components using the redesign option. And once again, today is the deadline for the deliverables. So Anais expects these PDFs to be sent to her not later than 5:30 this afternoon, so that we can prepare also for tomorrow morning's session. Simply save the PDF with your name and the number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there are some potential further steps if you manage to get through the homework up to the level where you've done the sort of compulsory steps. You can also explore the last 2 items in the evaluation menu in the tool to read about how to perform an evaluation and also how to report results. Then you can also try to do the design in full using the design tool, and then the detailed design to work through one component for your system, where there are also options to simply duplicate that and amend individual components. and document your work. So this is what will tomorrow be presented in the final session. And as has been mentioned before, we are very much looking forward to some volunteers coming forward to present. I think we have a couple lined up, but how many will we have the time for, Barbara? Do you know?
Yeah, we said a maximum of 8 people.
I think we have at least 2 right now. So please come forward and share your work and give yourself the opportunity to get some feedback on what you've done, and also if you have any specific questions on your surveillance system, that is also an opportunity to raise that and discuss it with your colleagues. So the objectives for tomorrow morning then is to review and discuss the deliverables. And we are also very much looking forward to getting your feedback on your experience with the tool. We're aware that with this extensive testing, we've been able to identify some bugs. So we're very happy about that, because that means we can further improve the tool in that respect. But then also the user friendliness and so on. The links to the wiki and the support that the wiki gives when working through the tool. I think we'll be very happy to get feedback on that as well. We're also looking forward to feedback on this week, how you've experienced going through the virtual summer school in this way. We will be happy to do this again, and we're looking forward to having your comments on how we can improve for the future. So this is a timetable for Friday morning. So you will meet Katarina and Anais and Barbara tomorrow morning, where you start at 10 o'clock. And then, as Barbara said, there's space for 8 of you to present your work. So that will then be managed by Barbara and Katarina to ensure that you get the presentation and the mic. And then there's time, half an hour, for general discussion. And last but not least, we kindly ask you to give us your feedback through the feedback form that Anais will send out also tomorrow morning, I think. Yes, as has been said, up to 8 of you have the opportunity to present your work. You'll have 15 minutes for presentation and for discussion. And together with your submission of the deliverable this afternoon, please state if you would like to volunteer for this opportunity. And as I said, this is the way that you can actually get specific feedback about what you've done and your work in the surveillance field. Yes. So the selection, if there are more than 8 that comes forward, there has to be a selection, and the tutors will then make that selection tomorrow morning before 8:30. So you'll know ahead of time if your presentation or if your case study is chosen as one of the 8. So once again, when you send your deliverable to Anais, do come forward and let us know if you're willing to give a presentation about it. Also, once again, for those that are presenting, we need to do some connectivity testing on Friday morning. So that would be at 9 o'clock, and Anais would work you through that. You should ensure that you have a working microphone, but you will have more information from Anais, I'm sure, about if you are selected for the presentation. So we're sure everything works out well.
Sure, of course.
Yes, so I think that Barbara has now. I will look through your questions, and Barbara, you have inserted a couple of slides indicating sort of the expectations of the deliverables. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Anne. While you were speaking, I also had a little bit of a look at the questions that are coming in. And I can see that some people are having difficulties when they try to save the evaluation assessment methods table as a PDF file, and it leads to an empty table. I just tried to do that myself using one of the systems that I have saved already in the evaluation tool, and for me it worked fine. And I know that a couple of people have problems with empty files, and it may well be that this is related to what you select in the evaluation context when it comes to selection of either the systems level or the component level. So what I would recommend that you try to do is go back to your systems level, to your evaluation context, and if you have selected systems level, you would need to change that to component level. And then basically you should select the components that you are looking at, and then the tables in the end, they should not be empty. So maybe that is the problem for some of you, and maybe you can try that and see whether that fixes the problem of empty columns in the table when you try to create the PDF. I'm now going to talk through an example that we have in the system, and it is currently public, so you should be able to look at it as well if you are interested in the evaluation, in the design and the evaluation tool. It is an example of highly pathogenic avian influenza, and in the description of the system, we said it's an endemic disease in a country called Riskland. The surveillance objective is case finding with the larger purpose of protecting public health, identifying units eligible for intervention, and to avoid economic losses for poultry farmers. The surveillance is nationwide, targeting chicken, turkeys, ducks and geese, and risk factors identified for the situation are poultry density, winter season and wet season, no vaccination and low immunity. And then some other considerations just described here, and I did not include all of them here, were that the disease is notifiable, that the country does not trade, and the control is stamping out an emergency ring vaccination if a case is detected. If you use this example, highly pathogenic avian influenza Riskland example in the evaluation tool, you will then see that the evaluation context has been defined, and the important thing here to point out is, as I trying to use my pointer, here it is. That we selected to evaluate the components of the system and not the whole system. And I think a lot of people are confused about this, because you think that you will evaluate all the components of the system, and that this will then mean that you are evaluating the whole system. But if you are looking at individual components, even though you're looking at all of them, you should select your component. For this HPAI example in Riskland, we selected 3 components in this evaluation. Also said that it would be risk-based, that we would consider the costs, and that there would be a budget constraint. The 3 components selected were passive surveillance, lifebird market surveillance, as you can see here, and active farm surveillance. With this evaluation context selected, we moved on to select the evaluation question, which is highlighted here. It is to assess the cost and effectiveness of surveillance components out of 2 or more to determine which one achieves a defined effectiveness target at least cost. The effectiveness needs to be determined. We then selected the evaluation attributes. So as mentioned in the previous slide, we were interested in the effectiveness and the value. And we then further specified which effectiveness attributes were needed. So in this case, sensitivity and timeliness, and we also wanted to have a look at the cost. Then we selected the evaluation assessment method for the attribute selected. So for the cost, we decided to use the cost calculation spreadsheet. For the sensitivity, we were interested in the detection fraction or the probability and using the appropriate. And for the timeliness, we selected the OASIS approach as described here. The same for the economic analysis techniques. For the analysis, we wanted to use the Excel sheet to calculate the cost. And for the least cost assessment, we would use the cost ranking for the surveillance component with the same effectiveness. Then when you go to the page of where you can see all your evaluation summary, you should see a couple of different boxes that basically outline what I just showed here as well in the previous slides. So you should have one overview slide, one overview box where you have your evaluation summary. Then you should have a box with your evaluation attributes and your evaluation assessment methods. And one is for the technical attributes and one is for the economic attributes. If you go to Save, Save here, and you have the option to either select a PDF or an Excel file, and whatever you click here, then a window will open on your other side, and then you can save your PDF or your Excel file where you want. So if you have gone through all the steps as I just described and included and selected component level in your evaluation context, you should be able to see all the text in the tables, in the columns, and also to see that when you save your PDF or Excel file. And we would like you to save all these files and send them to us as PDFs tonight, as Anne has explained. And I see that you already have a lot of questions. So maybe Anne can answer some of them, and I, in the meantime, will have a look at some of the others and see whether I can answer them.
Yes, I'll be looking through the questions. Nanda is also here. Hi, Nanda. Helping to respond to some of your questions. In my understanding, most of these are about the practicalities and some bugs in the report generation and so on. So there was one from Tomai. I think this one is probably for you, Barbara. Could someone please inform us regarding the create evaluation context and the question components will you include in this evaluation, where the pop-up info window suggests to enter the number of alternatives you're going to compare, include baseline situation. What should we enter if, for example, we have 2 components in our surveillance, but no surveillance already exists for the risk that we're about to monitor? I guess that would be 2 then. Barbara, correct me if I'm wrong.
Thinking about this one. So we have a situation where we do not have any surveillance at all. And there seems to be the opportunity of either implementing surveillance option 1 or surveillance option 2. Is that right, Tamai? I think I probably need a little bit more information. So if you can include this. Yeah, can you, Tamai, can you please let me know in the chat box whether both surveillance components would be implemented, or you're looking to implement only one of them? And then I can guide you better on what to select.
We've got a question about the best browser for the web tool. Do you know which one is the more efficient? We hope it's working all the ones, but I know that the programmer is using Chrome.
Sorry, Nanda, I didn't hear you very well. Would you mind repeating that, please?
Thank you. So the developer of the tool, he himself is using Chrome. He tries to test the other browsers to make sure it's working in all browsers, but he develops primarily in Chrome.
Yes, and my experience is that, well, I'm also using Chrome, and it has worked very well for me with Chrome. And Marisa has been using Firefox a lot, and it also worked pretty well with Firefox. There can be some bugs every now and then with other browsers, but I think most of the issues have been sorted. So actually, we would expect that the tools work well in all the browsers.
I will address the specific questions that have been pasted on the notes, just so maybe we can even delete them. We discovered that deleting components is not working. So if you enter the component that's not right, you can change it for a new component. Or in all the tables around the framework, when you have to select the component to design, or in any table where the components are shown, they are put alphabetical. So if you just name your component to Z, it will always show as last one. And then we'll fix the issue and let you know when you can start deleting the components. We apologize for that problem.
I see one question from Christiana, whether there's a way of merging all the documents together so that they're in one document, and because this would be a very neat reporting function. But to my knowledge, this is not yet possible, but that's sort of on our wish list to improve the reporting functions.
Yes, that's correct. We have mentioned this to the developers who are aware of the issue, but we didn't want to include a new functionality just before the summer school to make sure that we wouldn't mess up the system. So basically, it's on the wish list. It will be included at some point, and hopefully it will be fully functional in a short time. For now, what you can do, if you would like to have just one document for your own records instead of having a list, there is the option to merge the PDFs, either using your Adobe Reader if you have one, or a similar software, or online. There is also a very good functionality which is called PDF merge, where you can simply upload all the PDFs you want to merge, and you click on a button, and then it will create your one single PDF. It's not ideal. I fully understand these are extra steps that you have to do if you want to have one complete PDF, but that's the best advice we can give at the moment, given that we do not have yet this functionality.
Yeah, Marion also gives the tip about PDF SAM. I'm not familiar with these online PDF mergers, but there's another one apparently.
Okay. Yeah, I've never used PDF SAM, but I think that there are a couple of good merging softwares available online.
Yeah, one can just Google PDF merge. I will make another comment that addresses a few different issues. We were getting people reporting different sessions where things weren't being saved, and then Julianne was able to identify exactly what was happening before I even could figure out that it was a problem when you enter too much text in any fields that allows for comments. If you were more than 200 characters, or I was able to enter maybe 250. If you enter too long a text, then when you save, the text just disappears with no warning. And that is in any session. So that's extremely frustrating, because on the section 1.6, for instance, we ask you to document any other thing you can think about the surveillance system, and there it's supposed to be a lot of text. So again, maybe you can keep a document on your own records of comments and things, and we'll fix the tool and announce on the wiki when it's fixed. So we apologize for that. We hope the tool is still a good guideline of the steps you have to go through. But in those steps where you have a lot of text or description, maybe you can leave in the tool for now just a pointer for your own notes, and we'll fix this issue. So if you have any problem with risk characteristics that disappear, with data that doesn't get saved when you click next, make sure you don't have a field where you have entered a massive amount of text. Sorry about that.
Yes, and I just would like to add that this is a problem that we find in various places in the tools. We, if there are free text boxes, sometimes also in other places, if you enter too much text, you get an error message. So and we have made note of that, and we'll make sure that more text can be entered. Similarly, there is also an issue if the name for your evaluation context is too long. Sometimes there can also be problems in the system, so it's better to choose a short name for the evaluation.
I think Thomas had a question to Barbara about the evaluation question. Let's see. I'm running up here. Yes, the create evaluation context and how many components to include in the evaluation. Enter the number of alternatives. And Thomas has now responded saying that the two components, one is a Battois surveillance and the other retail surveillance. It's for Campylobacter in broilers in Greece.
Yes, so in this case we're talking about two different surveillance components that will probably be both implemented at the same time, or it's not either abattoir surveillance or retail surveillance, I would expect, because these are very different components. So I assume that here you're talking about a situation where you have currently a situation of not doing anything, and you are looking to implement two surveillance components to tackle Campylobacter in broiler carcasses. So in that case, you have a situation of not doing anything but baseline and having two components as your option. So you should enter three components, two components in your evaluation context.
Okay, thanks. We've got last questions about the cost calculator. To be honest, I don't really know indeed. About
evaluation economic analysis techniques, which task remain empty. The question is written on a notch box.
Then my table of evaluation economic does remain empty. So it does remain empty even if you select components in your evaluation context. Can I just ask whether you have selected components in the evaluation context and whether you also selected methods in the evaluation tool? So basically, you have gone through all the steps and it still remains empty.
It looks.
Should I set it in as an Excel instead?
There's an issue also with the attributes selection. Marianne raises a question that she says she ticks 5 attributes, but only 2 are kept. Is that something that you recognize?
So who is asking this?
Marianne.
Marianne. So, Marianne, when you do that, so when you're in the evaluation tool on your summary page, do you see all the attributes, and only 3 attributes disappear when you try to save? And for Alexandra, I can answer your question in the meantime. If you change to component in your evaluation context, then the system will ask you to select your component, and that so you need to go through a couple of steps and basically make sure that you have entered the component, selected the component, and then you should be able to see the attributes and assessment methods in the overview. So it will take you a couple of steps to get there. Because if you select system level and not component level, then you do not have, the system does not force you to select a component. So it may well be that you have skipped this step of selecting a component. And I would like you to have a look at that and see whether you have gone through all the steps, and let me know whether that changes anything.
Maybe to keep the discussion going while we wait, is that okay to interrupt right now?
Yes, please. I just wanted to shift a question into your direction anyway, but maybe you wanted to say something about that. So please go ahead.
I was just going to say thank you for everyone who's testing the tool. It's the first time this is used in large scale outside the Risksur consortium, so this is very good for us. And just to inform you, the framework was first developed as an Excel tool, which I've now put on the file share, and you can find on the Wiki space as well. So if you have trouble, for instance, because the text doesn't allow you to enter as much text as you want, you can use the Excel tool, and there you can save the text in the specific places where you intended originally to save the text. The problem with the Excel tool is that if you're ever to update it, there will be no way for you to paste your data from an old version to a new version. So that's why we're trying to build this web tool so that it's a living tool that can be updated and your data are always still there. So if you prefer the offline version, it's now in the file share, and you can use the Excel version. But please note that this is just a temporary fix because it allows you to do the framework now. But if we update the framework in the future, you're going to be stuck with an outdated version. So I would only recommend it as a plan C. I would still try to stick to the Web 2 if you can, but it's available in case you have any problems.
Okay, we have two questions. The one you started with Marion, she answered, maybe it's all written in the notebook.
Okay, so for the attribute table, Marianne's question, I will answer that, and maybe Nanda or Anne, can you have a look at the level of analysis, which is a technical question related to representativeness, so you may be better able to answer this question. Marianne, for the attribute table, given that you some edits, it may be that some of the links were temporarily not working well anymore, and it seems to work now, you're saying. So with a very specific issue like this one, as you did some changes and that it didn't work anymore after editing, it is probably easier if you have a specific look at what you did, and it would probably be easier to do that one-on-one afterwards. So if the problem continues, please drop us another message on the summer school page, and we can get in touch with you and have a look at what may be going on.
Yes, there was also a question on Samad about the level for analysis, difference between selecting herds as unit or individual animals as sources for sampling. This has both the practical background to selecting herds or individual animals could be, for example, that if it is a test that is applied at the herd level as a bulk milk sample, for instance, then your primary sampling unit would in fact be herds. But often you also have a design where you have a two-stage sampling. So you first select herds and then you select individual animals within those herds. So the practicalities around selecting herds versus animals is more related to how you want to access your population and what type of samples you want to take from that population. The representativeness issue is more concerned with actually, having a sampling frame. For example, a list of herds that you could do a random, use to draw a random sample of herds. So it wouldn't directly have to do with whether you choose to have your herds as the primary sampling unit or the individual animals. So let me know if that was that answered your question. Thank you. So we have some for the French speaking.
Yeah, Talib is writing in French, and I just tried to get the question more precise, and as soon as I have, I translate it. Just be patient, please.
Great.
But it's a little bit vague so far. He just says there's some issues on the wiki during the evaluation, and something suggests him to contact the administrator. So he just asked me why and if I have a solution. So I've asked him to be more precise, and if it's on the wiki or on the web tool, which is different. So it would be a different solution. So waiting for more precision.
Good. Anais, I'm also looking at the questions that Wikipedia asked. They are very much at the beginning. Have they already been answered?
No, yet. Trying.
One relates to data tables that have a warning.
Yeah, I think Anne already or Nanda already answered. Somehow she wrote on the note that, if I remember, it shouldn't affect the results, but she sent a mail to the administrator to change it. But
okay, great.
It shouldn't change the report at the end.
So I think Talipe is saying it is the web tool that was giving that error message.
Yeah. Mine send a comment also about attributes, which deleted.
Yeah, okay, so we see from Talibe it's a problem in the web tool, but as long as you do not know what you were doing and what the type of error is, it's also a bit difficult for us to judge what may be going on. So if you can give us a bit more information, that would be helpful, please. And thank you, Marion, for further information about saving of the attributes. That's definitely something that we will take on board and feedback to the web team. So if you it might be help to have a screenshot, or no, I think your information is enough, so we can pass that on so that they can look into this.
Okay, so
yeah, Talibe, what you're saying, that to me sounds like it doesn't seem to be like other errors that we had in the system, like for example the one that Mariam just described. It seems to be more of a general problem where you get to a point where the system does not work at all anymore.
That it seems so, yes. That at the beginning.
And we had similar issues in the past when there basically was a general error in the script of the page. So when you got to a certain point, then you couldn't get past that. But we haven't seen any more of these messages. So it would really help if you sent us a screenshot of what you receive, what you see, and also tell us the previous steps. So basically, what did you do just before this error message appeared? And then we can look into that, and if necessary, contact our web team.
Okay, then that's a good option. I just can't remember if we answered the question about the level of analysis.
Yes.
You did already, just to be sure. So, do you have some other questions? If not, we are still available through the wiki this afternoon, so you can still type questions and post questions on the wiki. And I'm also behind my computer, so you can send me a mail if needed.
Anais, where do we have the information about the number of deliverables, the number of PDFs, I mean? Do we have that described somewhere?
I think it's on the file share in the document called Santero Summer School Deliverable. I get that in it, everything is described, so you should find the number of deliverable. I can modify it and put it on
I think it would be helpful because there was some confusion about the possible number of PDFs to send to you. So maybe if you add the information that was typed in the chat box now, so that everybody can have a look at it, even the people who are not able to connect for this tutorial, it may then be a bit clearer on how many PDFs they can submit.
So I think it is the file that is on the file share right now, isn't it?
Yeah, that's one on the file share. The Santero Summer School deliverables. It's described in it. If not, I just wrote on the note box the number of deliverable. So if you look at the tutor station later, when it will be available, you'll be able to see what we expect.
Okay. Thank you, Anais, for adding this.
Good.
Okay, and Olivia says it's just for the evaluation context where this problem happens. So if you, Talibe, if you send us a screenshot of the last step that you can do and then a screenshot of the error message, then we can have a look at this. Okay, I think we have gone through all the questions that have come up. If anybody feels that we have not answered your question or haven't addressed it in any way, maybe type it again now because we still have a couple of minutes left, or otherwise put it on the WIKIS page so that we can have a look at it there.
So Marion asks for us to list exactly the name of the 5 files expected for evaluation, or maybe the contents, because the name of them would be your name and the running number, like Marion Baudier 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we can be perhaps more precise of regarding the contents of each file.
Yep.
So in the evaluation report, I think there are 5 sections that will need to be printed separately.
Yeah. Barbara, do you know the name of the different tables?
The first one is the evaluation summary. And then we have the evaluation attributes. And then we have the evaluation assessment methods and the evaluation economic analysis techniques.
I'm sorry, I'm writing very badly, but it should be written in the notebook.
Okay.
So that's 4.
Did you get them all, or should I repeat anything?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I guess I missed one.
I have 4.
You also need the surveillance system, which you define at the beginning, so that links to the surveillance system, and then the evaluation tool gives you the full report with the evaluation summary, the attributes, the assessment methods, and the economic analysis techniques.
Okay. Okay, perfect. So we've got one last question. Could you please address again what is the difference between choosing 2 out of 2 components in the evaluation context and 1 out of 2? What happens in both cases when if there are not a baseline situation?
Basically,
it's the last question.
It impacts on how you conceptualize your analysis. If you say I already have an existing system in place, and I want to have a look at an improvement of a component, for example. So your baseline component may be that you will have surveillance for Salmonella in broiler flocks, and you have a defined testing schedule, and you're looking to improve this schedule and have a different improved design. So you would not keep both, but you would actually compare one and the other one. So this impacts on how you evaluate, for example, the economic of the surveillance, because it's an improvement, and the two are cannot be implemented at the same time. If you have a situation of not having any surveillance at all, and you want to look at having, let's say, a new component, then you are comparing to this baseline of not doing anything, and you can do that either with one additional component, or you can do it with several, and again comparing to a situation of not having anything in place. If you look at the second scenario that I just described, the big difference to the first one is that you are looking at multiple components that can be implemented at the same time, compared to the situation of not having anything. Whereas in the first situation, you're looking at an improvement of an existing situation and existing component, and you cannot implement them both at the same time. And that has an impact on your evaluation. Okay, I think we are coming to an end. There aren't any further questions popping up. If you need further clarification, please do not hesitate to ask your questions in the wiki space. And we will make further information available in the file sharing as well. And we look forward to seeing your deliverables and have a good discussion tomorrow as well. And we really hope that many of you will share and will be willing to present, and that we hear a lot about different contexts and surveillance systems.
Okay,
yes,
thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Anne, for your presence.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks everybody for listening in, and I agree, as Barbara, looking forward to seeing your deliverables, and also to having your feedback from through the feedback form tomorrow. Thank you very much.